I used to think that waking up tired, stiff, and a little foggy was just a normal part of aging. You know how people say, well, that's what getting old feels like. I believe that. Every morning, I'd sit at the kitchen table with my bowl of cereal that said whole grain on the box and a splash of oat milk, thinking I was doing something right. But still, by mid-morning, I'd feel this wave of fatigue hit me like a heavy blanket. My hands would shake a little. I'd feel lightheaded, anxious, even irritated over small things. I didn't know it back then, but my blood sugar was swinging up and down like a seesaw. And no one had warned me. Not my doctor. Not the labels. And certainly not those healthy choy commercials that make it seem like what you're eating is good for you. I'm 65 now, and let me tell you, I don't have time to feel like I'm running out of steam before noon. I want to have the energy to walk around the block, tend to my garden, or just sit and read without feeling like I'm fighting to stay awake. What changed everything for me wasn't a fancy diet, and it definitely wasn't giving up food altogether. It was simply learning which foods were secretly messing with my blood sugar. Some of them were the last things I expected, things I grew up with, things labeled natural or fit. But once I started avoiding these 7 specific foods every day, my energy came back, my mood got steadier, and that uncomfortable crashing feeling after meals, it just stopped. If you've been feeling off lately, like your body's betraying you for no reason, trust me, it might just be what's on your plate. Number 7, sweetened plant-based milks. It took me a while to realize that not everything labeled plant-based is automatically healthy. For a long time, I swapped regular milk for almond or oat milk, thinking I was making a smarter choice. But one day, I read the label a little closer. That oat milk I was adding to my morning coffee, it had more sugar than a cookie. And I wasn't alone. A friend of mine, also in his 60s, told me he was doing the same thing, thinking it was helping his cholesterol, but he kept feeling bloated and sluggish. Turns out, we were both drinking something that was quietly spiking our blood sugar with every sip. If this message meant something to you, please tap the like button. It helps this video reach more people who might be struggling in silence and need to hear this today. The problem is that many plant-based milks, oat, rice, even almond, come original or flavored versions that are loaded with added sugars. Even when they don't taste very sweet, they can still have sneaky forms of sugar like evaporated cane juice or brown rice syrup. And here's the tricky part. Because it's a liquid, it goes through your system fast. That means your blood sugar rises quickly, sometimes in just minutes. It's like pouring gas on a small fire. Before you know it, things are out of control. I remember one morning I felt jittery just half an hour after breakfast. My hands were sweaty, and I had to sit down. I thought maybe it was stress or just getting older, but once I started tracking what I was eating and drinking, I noticed a pattern. It almost always happened after I used sweetened plant-based milk. That little splash in my coffee or bowl of cereal was enough to throw everything off balance. I started choosing unsweetened versions instead, and wow, what a difference. I felt calmer, more grounded, more like myself again. It's frustrating, though, because many of us turn to these products trying to do better for our health. We're told to avoid dairy, to choose natural alternatives, and we trust that those choices are helping us. But the truth is, some of these milks are just sugar in disguise. And when you're over 60, your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. Blood sugar spikes can leave you tired, foggy, or even with headaches. They also make it harder to control weight. And over time, they quietly wear down your energy reserves. So now, every time I buy plant-based milk, I check the label carefully. I look for the word unsweetened right on the front. And I skip the fancy flavors like vanilla or chocolate, because I know what's hiding in there. It might seem like a small change, but avoiding sweetened plant-based milks has helped me feel more stable throughout the day. No more mid-morning crashes. No more sudden hunger. Just steady energy. The kind I need to enjoy the stage of life without feeling like I'm always playing catch-up with my own body. Number 6, starchy vegetables. If someone had told me years ago that vegetables could mess with my blood sugar, I probably would have laughed. After all, aren't veggies a safe part of every meal? That's what I thought too. until I started paying attention to how I felt after eating certain ones. Potatoes, corn, and even sweet peas were always on my plate, especially with dinner. But over time, I noticed something strange. After those meals, my body didn't feel nourished. It felt drained. My eyes would get heavy, my mind foggy, and I'd often need to sit or lie down just to feel normal again. I blamed age. But age wasn't the problem. It was the type of vegetable. These starchy vegetables are packed with carbohydrates, the kind that digest fast and hit the bloodstream like a sugar rush. The body breaks them down almost as quickly as white bread or pasta. And because they don't have much fiber when served alone, that sugar enters the blood like a wave. You don't notice it right away. You eat your dinner, feel satisfied, and then suddenly, boom, you're groggy, irritable, or craving something sweet. It took me months to connect the dots. I wasn't overeating. I wasn't skipping meals. I was just eating the wrong kind of healthy. One night, I had a plate of roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and creamed corn, a meal I grew up loving. Within the hour, I felt like my body had been unplugged. I couldn't keep up with my grandkids, and I had to sit on the couch while everyone else was laughing and moving around. I remember thinking, why does my body betray me after something so familiar? It wasn't until I started reading more and keeping a food journal that I realized those vegetables, comforting as they were pushing my blood sugar too high, too fast, and then dropping it just as quickly. So what did I do? I didn't cut them out forever. I just learned to be smarter about how and when I ate them. Instead of having a mountain of potatoes or a big scoop of corn, I started using them as a side, not the main event. I added greens, like steamed kale or sautéed spinach, and a good source of protein like beans or grilled fish. That way, the sugars and the starchy veggies didn't hit all at once. They slowed down, stretched out, and gave my body time to respond without crashing. And I began feeling steady, not just full, but stable. Now, I still enjoy sweet potatoes, corn on the cob, or a hearty stew with a few peas. But I watch the portions, and I always combine them with fiber and healthy fats. Since I made those adjustments, my afternoons have changed. I don't feel wiped out after lunch. I don't need a nap after dinner. And best of all, I feel like I'm finally working with my body, not against it. That's a lesson I wish someone had told me at 50. That even good food can throw you off if you don't understand how your body processes it. Number 5, dried fruits. I used to think I was doing something smart when I reached for a handful of raisins instead of a cookie, or when I packed a few dried apricots in my bag for a healthy snack on the go. It felt like a small victory, a step away from junk food and closer to something natural. But over time, I started noticing something odd. These tiny bites of dried fruit would leave me feeling lightheaded not long after eating. Sometimes I'd feel shaky or suddenly hungry again. I couldn't understand it. After all, wasn't I eating fruit, one of the healthiest things out there? It wasn't until a dietitian friend explained it to me that the puzzle started making sense. When fruits are dried, they lose their water, but they don't lose their sugar. In fact, the sugar becomes more concentrated. Think of it this way. Eating one fresh apricot might give you a small dose of sweetness, along with fiber and water to slow digestion. But when that same apricot is dried, it's smaller, chewier, and easier to eat several without thinking. And suddenly, in just a few bites, you've taken the sugar of 5 or 6 apricots, all without the water or fiber to slow it down. Your blood sugar rises like a balloon in seconds. I remember a day when I was stuck in traffic and reached for a bag of dried mango slices I'd left in the glove box. They tasted amazing, soft, sweet, comforting. But by the time I got home, I felt flushed and jittery. My heart was beating fast, my mouth was dry, and I had a pounding headache. That wasn't just stress. That was a full-on sugar spike. And the worst part? I didn't even realize how much I had eaten. Because dried fruits are small and easy to chew, they trick you into thinking you're not having much, when in reality, it's like eating a spoonful of syrup with every piece. After that day, I started treating dried fruits the same way I treat candy, an occasional treat, not a daily habit. If I do eat them, I measure out a tiny portion, and I always pair them with something that slows the sugar down, like a few almonds or a slice of cheese. But most of the time, I just choose fresh fruit instead. An apple or a handful of blueberries not only gives me that sweet taste I want, but also keeps me full and balanced without making me feel like I'm on a sugar roller coaster. And they don't sneak up on me like the dried ones did. The truth is, dried fruit carries a health halo that makes it seem better than it is, especially for folks like us who are trying to stay sharp and energized after 60. But our bodies become more sensitive with age. We don't process sugar as easily, and even natural sugars can throw us off when they come in concentrated doses. That's why I no longer trust labels that say natural or no added sugar without reading the fine print. It's not about fear. It's about knowing how my body responds and making choices that help me feel steady, not spiked. Number 4, fast food. There was a time in my life when fast food felt like a lifeline on busy days, or when I was too tired to cook. It was just easier to swing by the drive-thru and grab a burger or some chicken nuggets. It felt like comfort, warm, salty, filling. And honestly, when you're tired, it's hard to say no to something that smells so good and comes wrapped and ready in 5 minutes. But what I didn't realize was how those convenient meals were quietly taking a toll on my blood sugar, my energy, and even my mood, one combo meal at a time. The problem with fast food isn't just the obvious things, like fried items or big sodas. It's the combination of ingredients that hits hard. Refined carbs in the buns and fries, sugary sauces hidden inside the sandwiches, and fats that slow down digestion just enough to keep your sugar elevated longer than it should be. Even when I thought I was making a better choice, like ordering grilled chicken or skipping dessert, I'd still end up feeling sluggish, bloated, and strangely hungry just a few hours later. It didn't make sense at first, but the truth is, those meals are designed to leave you wanting more. I'll never forget one afternoon when I stopped at a popular chain for a quick lunch. Just a burger, fries, and a bottle of iced tea. By the time I got home, I could barely keep my eyes open. I sat on the couch and felt like my whole body had gone soft. My joints ached, my head was heavy, and I felt disconnected from everything around me. It was more than tiredness. It was a crash, and it happened more than once. These meals weren't just making me gain weight. They were keeping my blood sugar on a wild ride that left me exhausted and emotionally drained by the end of the day. What hurt the most was realizing how often I relied on fast food, not just a convenience, but as a reward, a treat after a long day or when I felt down. It became part of my routine, without me even noticing. And that's how it sneaks up on you. You don't think of a cheeseburger as dangerous. You think of it as normal. But when you're over 60, your body handles those meals differently. The recovery is slower. The sugar highs and lows are more intense. And the damage to your blood vessels and organs builds quietly in the background. These days, I still eat out from time to time, but I've learned to be picky. I skip the fries and soda. I look for grilled proteins and ask for sauces on the side. Sometimes I even bring my own snack, just in case. Because now, I see fast food not as comfort, but as a temptation I have the power to walk away from. And that small shift, that awareness, has made all the difference in how I feel, how I move, and how steady my energy stays throughout the day. It's not about saying never. It's about knowing when to say not today. Number 3, sugary beverages. For the longest time, I didn't think much about what I drank. I focused on food, cutting back on sweets, eating more greens. But I never once looked at the drinks in my fridge. I used to keep bottles of iced tea, orange juice, and those vitamin waters that promised energy and hydration. They felt light, refreshing, better than soda. But despite all my efforts to eat better, I still felt like something wasn't right. I had sudden drops in energy, mood swings, and this nagging fatigue that would sneak in after lunch. It wasn't until I started reading labels that I realized where all that sugar was coming from. My glass. Sugary drinks are some of the worst offenders when it comes to blood sugar spikes. And the tricky part is, they don't feel heavy. You don't chew them. You just sip and go. But what you're really drinking is a flood of sugar with no fiber, no protein, no healthy fat to slow it down. It goes straight into your bloodstream, like pouring syrup through a funnel. Whether it's soda, juice, sweetened tea, or even energy drinks, they all have one thing in common. They leave your blood sugar climbing fast and crashing even faster. That crash can feel like sudden sleepiness, a pounding heart, irritability, or even a desperate craving for more sugar. I remember once during a long walk at the park, I bought a bottle of natural fruit juice from a small cafe. It tasted great, fresh, sweet, no weird aftertaste. But within 30 minutes, I felt dizzy and had to sit down on a bench. My legs felt like jelly. I thought maybe it was the heat or that I hadn't eaten enough. But later, when I looked up that brand online, I found out the bottle had almost 40 grams of sugar, as much as a can of cola. That's when it hit me. Sugar wears many disguises, and drinks are one of the sneakiest. They don't fill you up, but they do a number on your system. One of the hardest habits to break was my evening glass of juice, something I thought was helping my digestion and sleep. But I started switching it for water with lemon or herbal tea, and after a few weeks, I felt calmer. My sleep got better. I didn't wake up with headaches or feel as groggy in the morning. Small changes like that made a big difference. I learned to treat sweet drinks the way I used to treat desserts. Occasional, not daily. And the surprising part? I didn't miss them as much as I thought I would. Once the habit was broken, my taste buds changed. Now, when I go shopping, I skip the drink aisle almost entirely. I stick with water, coffee without sugar, or homemade infusions with cinnamon and mint. They hydrate me without messing with my blood sugar. And the best part? My energy stays more even throughout the day. I don't have those wild highs and crashing lows. Just steady focus, better moods, and a body that feels like it's on my side again. For anyone listening who still keeps a healthy juice in the fridge, take a look at the label. That little bottle might be doing more harm than you think. Number 2, refined white grains. If you open most kitchen cabinets across America, especially in homes like mine, you'll find the usual suspects. White rice, sandwich bread, maybe some pasta or crackers. They're familiar. They're comforting. And for most of my life, they were the base of nearly every meal. Toast in the morning, a sandwich at lunch, rice with dinner. I never questioned it. This was just how we ate. But after 60, my body started reacting in ways I couldn't ignore. I'd feel a rush of energy after eating, followed by a crash that made me want to curl up on the couch. It felt like my fuel tank had a leak I couldn't see. The culprit? These everyday white grains I thought were harmless. Refined grains like white bread, white rice, and regular pasta have been stripped of their fiber, the very thing that slows digestion and helps sugar absorb gradually into the bloodstream. Without it, these foods digest lightning fast. They flood the body with glucose in minutes, spiking your blood sugar and then dropping it hard, leaving you hungry, tired, and craving more. And because they're so common, we don't think twice. A turkey sandwich or a bowl of spaghetti doesn't seem unhealthy. But when your body can't process sugar like it used to, even simple meals like that can throw your balance out of whack. I remember one weekend lunch at my daughter's house. She made pasta with white garlic bread and a little salad. It looked beautiful, smelled amazing. I went for seconds like I always had. But that afternoon, I couldn't stay awake. My head was pounding and my hands felt swollen. I chalked it up to aging again. But later, when I started paying attention to how different carbs affected me, I realized that meal had been a blood sugar bomb. Nothing sweet, nothing fried, just soft, white grains that my body couldn't handle the way it used to. I started making small swaps, whole grain bread instead of white toast, brown rice instead of white, or chickpea pasta when I wanted something filling but more stable. At first, I wasn't sure I'd like the taste. But you know what? My body liked the results. No more crashing an hour after eating. No more brain fog in the afternoon. And the surprising thing? My cravings calmed down. When your blood sugar is steady, your hunger signals get quieter. You're no longer chasing energy through snacks and sugary drinks all day. You just feel normal again. And that's a gift after years of riding the roller coaster. Now, I still enjoy a good slice of sourdough now and then. I'm not perfect. But I treat white grains as occasional, not daily. And I always ask myself, is this going to help me feel stronger later or make me crash? That one question changed how I shop, how I cook, and how I feel. For anyone over 60 trying to regain energy, balance, and control, this is one of the simplest places to start. Your blood sugar doesn't have to be a mystery. Sometimes it's just about trading what's easy for what's better, one plate at a time. Number 1, industrialized breakfast cereals. Breakfast was always sacred to me. I grew up believing it was the most important meal of the day, and for decades, I stuck to that rule. A bowl of cereal with milk felt like the perfect start. Quick, simple, comforting. The boxes said whole grain, low fat, even heart healthy. So I trusted them. But as I got older, something stopped adding up. I'd eat breakfast at 8 a.m. and by 10, I'd be tired, irritable, and strangely hungry again. It didn't make sense. I had just eaten. What I didn't realize then was that the so-called healthy cereals in my pantry were quietly wrecking my blood sugar. Most breakfast cereals, even the ones marketed to adults, are packed with added sugars and refined grains. Some hide it well under names like evaporated cane juice, malt extract, or even honey clusters. But sugar is sugar, and when it combined with low fiber and no protein, your body digests it lightning fast. That means your blood sugar rises quickly and crashes just as hard. And when you eat that with milk, which often contains natural sugars, or even worse, sweetened plant milk, you're basically starting your day with a dessert disguised as health food. It's no wonder so many of us feel wiped out before noon. I'll never forget the morning I decided to test this. I ate my usual cereal, then waited. At first, I felt fine, energized, even, but an hour later, my hands were trembling slightly. My heart was racing. I couldn't focus on what I was reading. It was a light bulb moment. This wasn't just getting older. It was my blood sugar crashing from a meal that wasn't nourishing me. It was tricking my body. That day, I tossed the cereal box in the trash and never looked back. I started experimenting with other breakfasts, and my mornings completely changed. Now, instead of cereal, I might have scrambled eggs with spinach or a slice of whole grain toast with peanut butter and a few slices of avocado. If I'm in a rush, I'll make a smoothie with unsweetened yogurt, flaxseed, and berries. These meals keep me full, clear-headed, and steady. I no longer feel like I need a nap before lunchtime. And the best part? I actually enjoy breakfast now. It feels like fuel, not just filler. And that small shift, swapping out a box of cereal for something real, has given me back my mornings. It's frustrating to realize how many years I spent trusting shiny packaging over how my body truly felt. But the good news is, it's not too late to change. If you're waking up foggy, sluggish, or hungry soon after breakfast, take a look at what's in your bowl. You might be starting the day with a sugar spike that sets the tone for everything that follows. But once you make the change, once you trade that cereal box for real food, your body will thank you. You'll feel the difference. And morning by morning, that one choice can become the start of something better. If there's one thing I've learned in this journey, it's that your body is always talking to you. Sometimes through fatigue, sometimes through cravings, and sometimes through those quiet aches that come out of nowhere. For years, I ignored those signs, thinking they were just part of aging. But once I started paying attention to what I was eating, everything began to make sense. My energy, my mood, even my sleep, they all started improving once I stopped feeding my body things that worked against it. And the best part? I didn't need to give up flavor, comfort, or joy at the table. I just needed to make different choices. Maybe you've been feeling the same. Tired for no reason. Foggy in the afternoons. Hungry even after eating. If that sounds like you, don't ignore it. It's not weakness. It's not just the age. It might be your blood sugar asking for help, quietly, persistently, and you can help it with a few simple changes. With a little more awareness, you can start feeling steady again, more in control, more you. It's not too late, not at 60, not at 70, not even at 80. Your body still wants to work with you. It just needs the right fuel. But remember, any change in your diet, especially if you live with diabetes or other chronic conditions, should be done with professional guidance. Talk to your doctor. Speak with a nutritionist who understands your needs. You don't have to do this alone, and you shouldn't. The goal isn't to fear food, but to understand it. to use it as a tool that supports your strength, your clarity, and your joy in everyday life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone you care about. You never know who might need to hear that it's not too late to feel better, to eat better, and to live with more energy and balance. Thank you for being here and for taking the step with me. Every choice you make now is a gift to your future self.